Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to go over my top 10 Wii games. I love the Wii. I got very fortunate. My dad happened to find a Wii at some random game shop on the way back from a trip. And just happened to find one when they were really scarce. No one was able to get them. There were two there and he got one for me for Christmas. It was one of the coolest Christmases I've ever had. So I want to talk about this console because it's a really fun one. I thought there were tons of fantastic games on it. So let's jump right into the list with a few honorable mentions here, including Punch-Out!, which I actually really love, but just barely didn't make my list. Super Paper Mario, which I enjoyed, but since it wasn't an RPG nearly as much, more of an action RPG, I didn't like it nearly as much. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which is fantastic, but again, nothing too crazy for me. Xenoblade, which I didn't end up playing, but I know most people would say is one of the best RPGs of all time. Dead Space Extraction, probably the best on-rail shooter on the Nintendo Wii. You have Red Steel 2, which is a fantastic innovator for the Wii Motion Plus. You have the No More Heroes franchise, which I actually still haven't played to this day, but I know those are some of the best action games on the Wii, especially with the motion controls. And I'm not including any ports or remakes. You're not seeing like Metroid Prime trilogy, none of the Pikmin games with the new controls. Same thing with Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I'm going to keep those off the list for now. But with that out of the way, let's get into the list. With number 10, one of the best games on the Wii, and it was bundled with the console, Wii Sports. This game is synonymous with the Wii for a very good reason. Everybody has this game. If you bought a Wii, for the most of its life cycle, I think the later on in the life cycle, they stopped including it with the Wii for some reason. But if you bought the Wii at any point in the first few years, you had Wii Sports. And I feel like everybody has played Wii Sports at some point. This is a very accessible game. 5 easy sports to jump into, really fun to play with friends. I loved playing tennis with anybody and everybody that would play with me. I loved doing bowling. I loved baseball. Golf, maybe not so much. I think it was a little bit janky, but boxing was a ton of fun. Wii Sports was phenomenal, and I'm so glad they included it with the console so many people could enjoy this one. Number 9 is going to be Okami. This is a Legend of Zelda inspired game with a beautiful painted art style steeped in Japanese lore. This game is out of this world good, and it's a shame that it did not sell as well on the Nintendo Wii or the PlayStation 2 when it launched. I finally did get an HD remake for the Switch, which I encourage you to go out and try because it is really fantastic. I had the great fortune of my brother buying this for me for Christmas or a birthday at one point because he had heard great things about it, and I really enjoyed it. It's such a fun game, and utilizing the Wii motion controls as utilizing the paintbrush, and it's just a gorgeous game with a fantastic world. Great boss fights, a beautiful story, great characters. It really is the entire package. If you haven't tried this one, go out and check it out. Number 8 is going to be Skyward Sword. Now, I actually like the Switch port better than the original one, but I do really love the original one on the Wii. This was one of another showcase for the Wii Motion Plus to utilize like more precise movements. This also came bundled with a golden Wii remote, which again, I was very fortunate enough to get because my sister found a copy at some random store because I didn't pre-order it in time. I got really lucky with that. Utilizing the Wii Motion Plus, it does so very, very well. It's maybe not the most polished Zelda game. There are some issues with pacing more than anything else, but it has some incredible dungeon design and some of the most memorable like lore things in the entire series, because this is like canonically the first game, or chronologically the first game in the series in terms of the timeline. So I really love Skyward Sword. It's a little bit low on this list, but I had to include it because I really enjoyed it, and I still love it to this day. Number 7 is going to be Donkey Kong Country Returns. I was so excited when this game finally came out because it was a return to form for the Donkey Kong Country franchise, which had been dormant for a very long time, all the way since the Super Nintendo. In fact, the last Donkey Kong game that we really had gotten that was more of like an adventure style was kind of DK64. That was kind of Donkey Kong Country in a 3D world. You had the Jungle Beat franchise, sure, and I really love that game, but it doesn't really fit the mold of the Donkey Kong Country games. This was a return not only to the series, but in the same 2D art style. It was brutally difficult. This is one of the hardest games I have completed to this day. One of the hardest platformers for sure, and they did such an excellent job bringing it back into the modern day. This was Retro Studios, the same people that did Metroid Prime. They knocked it out of the park with this game. I love Donkey Kong Country Returns. I'm glad it's getting a Switch port. I think it's a little too expensive, but I'm glad that more people are going to be able to experience this one because it is phenomenal. Number 6 is going to be Metroid Prime 3. This is my least favorite entry in the Prime trilogy, but it is still fantastic. It's so much fun. A more like open exploration kind of format. I love the use of Phazon and having these themes kind of creep into the game more. I haven't played this one in quite a while. I want to go back and play Metroid Prime 3, but I'm kind of in the middle of 2 right now. I'm playing it back on the GameCube so I can kind of experience the whole trilogy before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. So I need to play this one again to kind of refresh myself. But I remember being kind of in awe at how much exploration you could do in this game and how much there was to do. I think they really expanded the world very well, and I like the idea of being able to freely move between planets and kind of explore at your own pace. Not that the other games didn't have that sense of exploration as well. This one just really felt more open-ended, and I really enjoyed Metroid Prime 3. Number 5 is going to be Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, a lot of people say that this one is better than the original Galaxy, and I can see why. They did make a lot of improvements. I love that you have Yoshi in this game. There are a lot of things to love about Galaxy 2. But for me, typically, sequels don't do enough to differentiate themselves from originals when they're on the same console to kind of warrant a lot of times. This isn't exclusive, but I feel like a lot of times when you have a really phenomenal first entry and they do a sequel to it that's also phenomenal, I'm not nearly as impressed by the second one because the first one was so innovative and interesting. I think that's why this one suffers for me specifically. But this has everything that Galaxy has, and then maybe some more in some other categories as well. It's very fluid, the music's gorgeous, the worlds are beautiful, the hub world is a huge improvement from the original one. That's one thing I can praise for sure, and the level design is fantastic. I'm so glad that Galaxy was the one to get a sequel because I think the space theme really works. I'm glad it worked on the Wii. It worked on the Wii so well, so I'm glad it ended up getting a sequel. Again, this is another one I need to go and replay because it's been such a long time. I've played Galaxy again since it came out on the Switch. I need to go back and play Galaxy 2 just to kind of refresh my memory and see if I still feel this way. But for right now, it's going to sit here at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Mario Kart Wii. Now, I love the Mario Kart franchise, but Mario Kart Wii was one that I really had so many hours in and so much fun playing with my friends. And that's because of the motorbike mechanic and the huge cast of characters, the tons of tracks that you could do. I loved the meta in this game. I loved popping wheelies. It was just a ton of fun. And the battle modes were especially fantastic in this game as well. I was a little bit bummed when they got away from the double dash mechanic when they introduced the Wii version, but I really liked the bikes. I loved the new tracks. Mushroom Gorge is still one of the best tracks they've ever made, and that debuted on the Nintendo Wii. Everything about the Mario Kart franchise that I love exists on the Nintendo Wii version. It's one of the most fun party games to play with friends, and the Wii console is definitely a party console. So Mario Kart Wii had to be up here for me. Number 3 is going to be Twilight Princess. Now, I really enjoy the Zelda franchise. It's my favorite video game franchise, and I knew that Zelda had to be really high up on my list. And I wasn't sure if Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword was going to make the list initially, and then I started to remember all the fantastic things about Twilight Princess, and the more I remembered, the more I kept having it climb my list all the way up here to number 3. Twilight Princess is definitely the most mature Zelda game in the entire franchise. It's the only T-rated one, and it has so much going for it. It's huge, a ton of content to experience in this game, tons of different areas to go into. Some of the most unique weapons and items that you can use in this game. You have a giant ball and chain that you can cart around, and when you put it in your pocket, suddenly you can walk around freely, but it weighs you down. Hilarious. You got a spinning top. You have some of the most unique bosses. This was their first experimentation with Wii motion controls, and it does work extremely well. I love the debut of the double claw shot. I think they really succeeded in every front. The fact that this is a GameCube game and a Wii game, and that it succeeds so well as a Wii game despite being kind of porting over, is really a testament to how strong this game is. It has great mature themes. It has one of the darker stories in the entire franchise, which I always love. Whenever Zelda goes the dark route, it really succeeds, and this one is no exception. It's so much fun to play. The worlds are fantastic. This is one of the better Zelda games for sure, and easily the best one on the Nintendo Wii. Number 2 is going to be Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I think this was the very first game that I purchased with my own money, that I saved up and bought at full price. Excuse me. I did buy other games before that. This is my first game I bought full price the day it released. I remember my mom driving me to the store early so I could pick it up before going to school that day. So I had it in my backpack, a brand new copy of Brawl on Nintendo Wii. I believe it cost $50. And I was so excited the entire day. I showed a couple of my friends. I could not wait to play this game, and it did not disappoint. Super Smash Bros. Brawl maybe isn't the best competitive game. There are tons of flaws to point out, specifically with like characters like Meta Knight being so broken, but the cast of characters is phenomenal. And this was our first introduction of a third-party character outside of Nintendo making it into Smash, specifically with Snake and Sonic. Sonic was kind of the big one because lots of people wanted Sonic all the way back in the beginning with the original Super Smash Bros., but didn't think it would ever happen because of the rivalry between Sony and Nintendo. And seeing Sonic in Smash Bros. Brawl was out of this world cool. I remember seeing the trailer for that and seeing Snake, seeing Sonic, and just being so overjoyed, so excited. And then the other characters that I'd never heard of, like Lucas, and then like seeing people like Meta Knight and King Dedede make it in, was just a real joy. And I love the Subspace Emissary single player mode. It's still the best single player mode that they've ever put in a Smash game. The fact that it's this big storyline with boss fights just really cements it as one of the coolest single player games for sure on the Nintendo Wii. But also introduced stuff like Level Creator, which was a ton of fun. I think probably worked best on the Wii, if I'm being honest. I know they have it in the other ones, but I think it was just more fun, more accessible. I've had a much harder time building stages in the other games. It was just really fluid and easy to do. I loved playing with my friends. I was the best in my friend group playing Brawl back in the day in school. I remember we had like a school event for the end of school, and they had a Wii up with the Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and I just decimated everybody. It was so much fun. I love this game. Despite some of its flaws, it's still one of the better Smash games because of how nostalgic it is for me, and the single player content is just so choice. So it's going to be sitting here at number 2. But my number 1 game is going to be Super Mario Galaxy. I think this game really blew me out of the water when I first experienced it. From the way that they implemented motion controls so seamlessly, to the way that they had this gorgeous soundtrack that really feels like you're up in space, the way that Mario moves, the visuals, the new storyline, the new characters, everything just clicked for me, and I had a blast playing this game from start to finish. In fact, this is one of those games that I've done multiple times where I finished it and then I wanted to play it immediately again so I could play as Luigi, play the entire thing all over again, and I did the exact same thing when I got it on the Switch when it got ported over with 3D Mario All-Stars. I love this game. It's so much fun. Are there tedious spots? Absolutely. There's some of the stars that are absolutely awful to get. The stupid bombing the trash mini games are awful. But there's so much to love about this. This is Mario platforming bliss. And honestly, if it weren't for Mario Odyssey, this would easily be my favorite Mario game, right up there at the top with the likes of Super Mario World. This is such a phenomenal entry. I love Mario Galaxy. It's so much fun to replay. It's just a joy every time I boot it up. So that's going to be my list. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. What are your favorite Wii games? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.